What do you get when you combine 2 litigators, camera here, here, and here, podcast microphones, a bunch of lights, and a sick studio? Well, we're about to find out. Join us for part 2 of my talk with Carolyn McKeen, endurance athlete, litigator, who's just as comfortable jumping over sea lions as she is in the courtroom. Stick around and watch part 2 of my talk with Carolyn right now. So you said your travel and your running and how you're kind of hesitant that people might see you a certain way. But I do want to talk about your travel because you've gone on some amazing trips.
Yeah.
And you just got back from the Galapagos.
I did. Yes.
How was it, first off?
It was fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, it was, I went with my cousin, who we traveled together quite a bit. She's some sort of similar lifestyle. Like we don't have kids to worry about, and we like the same style. No plants, nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
She has a horse, but her husband
oh my
looks after
God.
it. So
cool.
She's a good travel buddy, and we like the same style of travel. We're very like not resting, we're just constant motion.
You're not like, it's not vacation, it's not travel.
It's definitely we don't have a ton of time, so we try to cram as much as we can into a trip. Yeah. So Galapagos is really special. It's obviously a special part of the world, and it's very protected and isolated. So the things that you see, like the wildlife, it's, like I'm staring at a giant tortoise.
I know.
So cool.
I was watching your journey on Instagram and I was just like, I cannot wait to hear because it looked, and it was your first time, right?
Yeah. Never been there before.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's really, really interesting area of the world. And so you fly into Quito, which is, it's like 15 degrees or so right now. And then you fly to the islands and it's like 35.
Oh my gosh.
And you can feel the sun. You're right on the equator.
Right.
But the wildlife that we saw, and I've seen wildlife, it's very different there because not only is it like a lot of it's just really unchanged from hundreds, thousands of years ago, just because these places are so isolated and untouched. But it's there's a much more. You really live more with the creatures,
right?
As you saw.
Oh my gosh!
There's just sea lions everywhere.
I was so
everywhere.
Jealous because they're so cute.
They're and it's not like they don't put them off in a pen or like no,
it's just like squirrels.
You live with them. They're lying in the middle of the sidewalk. You walk around them. And they're not, as a result, they're not afraid. Like,
amazing.
Because people just let them be.
Amazing.
So
isn't it weird how that works? You just let nature be and it doesn't see you as a threat? Wow.
Yeah. So it's cool. We went scuba diving and, we saw sharks and dolphins. Yeah. So it's really, really neat.
That's amazing.
Really, really cool trip. So, and active, like the way that we like. We're doing lots of hiking and chocolate tasting and stuff. So it's good times. No running though. Didn't run in the 35 degrees.
No way. That wasn't your jam.
It's not my jam.
No.
But I highly recommend. Very, very special place.
And so when you're traveling, because I know you travel a lot and you've been to so many places in the world, do you have like a list that you're always adding on to and crossing off?
Oh yeah.
It's an ongoing list.
The list is a living document. Basically.
Like the Constitution.
Like the Constitution.
You're not an originalist, it's a tree.
It is a living tree. So and I have the places that I definitely want to hit.
Yeah.
India I want to do for sure. But I don't want to cram that into like 7 days.
No, you need a while.
Yeah. And what else? Like I love, I've been to Japan 3 times, but it's one of those places I want to go back.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard people
love it.
They're never like never again. It's like, when can I go back?
And that's the beautiful thing about travel is like, I'm not going to run out of places to go.
No.
Right?
And places are always changing too.
Yes.
So you go to a place for better or for worse. It's going to be different the next time you go.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
Did you grow up in a traveling family or is that something you came into later?
I think it was kind of a theme. My grandparents traveled a lot for my grandfather's business. So when I was a kid, they were always bringing back things from like various countries. Like, so one of my favorite toys was the Russian nesting dolls.
The Matryoshkas.
The Matryoshkas.
Yes.
Love them. Love them.
I love a good Matryoshka.
Yes. So I haven't been to Russia yet, side note, but that's definitely on the list. So I kind of grew up with these like little, like, you know, kind of artifacts from various parts of the world. And they were very interesting things. Like, so I learned early on that it's a big, big world, and there are all these different places, and that's going to be great. So my first big trip was with my grandmother when I was 13.
Oh.
Yeah. So after my grandfather passed away, and then there's 6 granddaughters, and she took us, her thing was when we turned 13, she's going to take us to England, which is a place that she knew very well and was very comfortable with, and then one other European country. So
Your grandma's
we went to England, and I got Switzerland.
cool.
So
a
that
very
was,
you country.
Neutral,
unproblematic, beautiful.
It was good. It was mountains and so that was my first kind of big overseas trip. We did like, you know, growing up, we did like the Florida stuff. But I always kind of had it in my head that I wanted to go far, and I wanted to see things that were in places that were very, very different. And then I have to throw this in just because you got to go and watch this movie, The Chipmunk Adventure. And I'm going to be dating myself here.
Okay, do it.
You know Alvin and the Chipmunks?
Yes,
okay,
of course.
So the Chipmunks and the Chipettes.
Yes.
They go on a balloon race around the world in this movie. And so it's probably like, if you watched it now.
Is it from the 80s?
It's from the 80s.
I love that. Okay.
So it's probably like not even politically correct now. Like it's full of stereotypes.
Neither is Friends. So like,
I mean, it's fun. It's got a banging soundtrack.
Oh my God. Chipmunk Adventure.
I think it's on YouTube. But
amazing.
I'm like what, like young, right? Like I'm a kid, but the thought of going to all these like different places and seeing these different things, like I had it in my head, I'm going to do this, not necessarily in a hot air balloon. But so it sounds silly, but it was actually like an influential like thing for me.
That's amazing.
It opened up this kind of world. I'm like, oh my gosh, like Egypt and pyramids and camels and like, spoiler alert, Egypt does have pyramids and camels, so it was accurate in that sense.
Alvin, you did good.
Yeah. And that, like, and then I actually got to go to Egypt and see like, hieroglyphics, and that was so cool. So
amazing.
It just kind of, I knew that I wanted to travel as an adult, and I knew that I wanted to see lots and lots of places. So as I got into my 20s, I just started taking trips. I started going to Japan. I went to Peru. I went to Southeast Asia. Amazing. And every trip that I go on now, it's just like, it's like a disease. Like I just want to do more.
I know.
So,
which you're interested in, so it works out. You love diseases.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just like the epidemic of Carolyn's world travels.
Exactly.
That's what you can name your book.
It's contagious too.
It's contagious. It is contagious. I love travel. I love, I have a list, and it's longer than I'll ever be able to.
Adding to it?
Always. Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. Go to the Galapagos. See the sea lions.
Right? Galapagos got on my list as soon as Ted moved there in Schitt's Creek. I was like, Galapagos. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh,
yeah.
There's so many things.
So many things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of things. You should go.
Beautiful. And I know that it's not all like glamorous. Like you did have different kinds of ants.
There were many ants.
Yeah.
This was not 5-star.
No.
We can talk about the White Lotus and lifestyle creep, because that episode resonated with me. I was not calling it lifestyle creep. I was calling it YOLO.
Oh, same thing. Same thing.
So thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
A little bit more moderate, but it was. I'm not afraid to rough it. I will also not rough it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to not rough it sometimes.
Yeah.
Like pick your White Lotus moment.
Right.
Pick your 5-star.
Right.
But also sleep on the ground.
Yep.
Sleep in a hostel.
Pee in a hole.
Pee in a hole. Pee in the woods.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. And it's kind of like, I like the discomfort of travel. Maybe not in the moment, but
You're a type B fun person, just like I'm a type B fun person.
What does that mean?
Which is you love doing hard and challenging things.
Yes.
And the satisfaction
yes.
afterwards is worth 1,000,000 White Lotus 4-season stays.
Definitely.
Type B fun.
Definitely.
It's my jam. A lot of endurance athletes have it.
Really?
People who travel without the like million-dollar vacations have it. It's like typey fun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you end up with more stories.
You do.
With the like, oh my God, there were ants, and it was just
Yes.
and once you're out of it, it's funny.
Yes. Yes.
But it's one of those trips, right? Like you're lugging a wetsuit around and nothing dries. Like
No,
pulling on a
damp
damp
for-
wetsuit. There's
Yeah.
sand everywhere and everything. And the water, you got to brush your teeth with bottled water.
Yes.
You can't use the tap.
Nope. You'll get a worm.
You'll definitely get a worm.
Yeah.
So it was not not super glam at all. Ended up getting stitches in the Galapagos also. That was fun. Yeah.
In a hospital? In a clinic?
It was called a hospital, I was really impressed with it.
Oh, good. Okay.
And I cut myself on a rock when I was snorkeling.
Oh.
It had a bit of a mishap, and it was fine. There was a fair amount of blood, but that's okay. It was all superficial.
No sharks.
It was
You didn't
just
attract
a
anything.
scratch.
It's just a flash wound.
I asked our guide, I'm like, can I go in the water? Like, and he's
Right.
like, yeah, you're fine. They're not aggressive sharks. I'm like,
You're like, so
all right.
you're like, define non-aggressive, and that means there are sharks.
There
Yeah.
are. And it's funny because the Galapagos sharks, like they're just small versions of like the Jaws looking shark.
Oh.
So like they're so cute, but then you're swimming above them. You're like, is this safe?
Right.
Like,
Do you think I'm a sea lion?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, and rare doesn't mean never. And
Right.
you are dealing with wildlife and you don't know what they're thinking.
No.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Are you hungry? Like, did you have a good breakfast, shark? Like, or am I a croissant in your eyes?
All swelled and unswelled. I guess I did not have a bad encounter with a shark. So
Amazing.
had a good encounter with the very clean local hospital and carried on with the trip. But
Amazing.
yeah, I mean there was lots of Band-Aids but yeah, not super glam. I also like being in the mountains as well. So I like the Morocco summit I did a couple of years ago. Sleeping on the ground, man.
Amazing. Were you carrying
Goats.
your gear on your back? Did you have like a guide or a Sherpa or?
Yeah, for a mount tube call, you have to have a guide to go up. So you do it in stages. So I had gear going up to like the point before the summit. You spend the night there in a tent, and it's very windy. Like I don't think I slept.
No way.
Like you're in a tent, it's not comfortable anyway.
No.
If I'm sleeping in a tent, there has to be a bigger picture. Like I have
Right.
to be going somewhere or
Oh, interesting.
on the way somewhere.
Not
I'm
a camper for the joy of camping.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, absolutely won't do that.
That's so fun. I love camping, but I grew up camping. So for
Okay.
me, that's like,
You just like sleeping in the woods
I
for
do.
sleeping in the woods.
Yeah. I love the discomfort.
Yeah.
I love like,
interesting.
yeah.
You should do this trek then. So and then you get up at like 4 a.m. to do the summit itself, which takes, I don't know, like 3 hours up, 3 hours down. And you're minimal gear for that. So
I have several treks on my list.
yeah, that's a good one. It's very accessible. You hit like just over 4,000 meters. So
Okay. So you didn't need Diamox or your altitude was okay?
I felt kind of a headache coming on. So I took some Advil and I was fine.
Oh, okay.
My face swells. My fingers swell.
Oh my God. Okay.
So it's like I maybe didn't take a ton of photos, but I was fine. I felt fine.
Oh,
and
good.
Yeah, it was a good summit, and then went back down to Marrakesh and had my like nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's when you want it.
That's when you want it. You're like, I've dealt with ants, or my face was swelling like
Yeah.
Aunt Marge and Harry Potter, and now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna
Yeah.
stay in like a beautiful
Yeah,
Moroccan
Yeah,
hammam or whatever.
I went immediately to the hammam.
Did you?
Yeah. So I wanted to stay at this hotel because I like historical hotels and
Yeah.
like older hotels.
Yeah.
And it's called La Mamounia. It's in Marrakesh.
Okay.
And so I picked this. I was very intentional about this hotel. And I'm like, of course I'm filthy, right? Like coming off the mountain, and there's an hour ride in a car, and the guy won't turn on the air conditioning because like they want to save, I don't know, whatever.
Oh.
So I'm like sweating buckets, and I'm polite, so I'm not asking him to turn
No.
the AC on.
Conflict avoidant.
But I like come into this like, beautiful hotel, and they hand me like dates and almond milk, and my room's not ready. So I'm like, hammam, like, and then 5 minutes later, you're being literally washed and like, pampered. And it's so
Amazing.
that was wonderful. After that like I was a cold shower on the mountain. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have hot water.
No.
I washed my hair with iced water.
I wouldn't have washed my hair at all. I would have been like, this is it.
Why did I wash my hair?
This grease is coming with me. Well, how long was the trek? Like, how many days?
So it was actually called and I picked it because I only had a small amount of time. It was like 3 days beginning to end.
I go 3 days without washing my hair at home.
Yeah. Yeah. The trek getting up to the auberge, like from where you summit, it was pretty hot. Like,
oh, okay. So you were like, you felt it. You're
I
like, I just need to like.
I'm like, I wanted a shower. But it's one of those showers that's like, you feel not necessarily very clean coming out of it. So, yeah, pointless shower. But it
Love
was
it.
the.
But now you have the story and the experience, and you're like, I showered on this trek.
Yeah, I did. And it was ice cold and I survived. And yeah, of course, there's like a bit of like pride in that. I'm like, I took a cold shower.
I think that's the thing too, is the constant or the reminder once you do something like that and you're like, I can do hard things.
Yes.
Then the next time something hard comes up, you're like, I survived that. I can survive this.
Yeah. Do you have a bank of bad runs?
Of course.
You need that.
Of course I do.
You need the bad runs.
You need them.
Because when you hit that point in the marathon and you're like, ugh, I don't do this. You're like, no, I had that bad run and I got through it.
Exactly.
And even the worst run ends.
Exactly. So. Even the worst run ends. And I also have that in law. Like if I'm going into a bad, like what I think is going to be a bad discovery or a tough mediation or hearing or whatever, it's like, I think back on like the worst of the worst days I've had. And I'm like, even if it's that bad, I'm like, I remember surviving that.
It'll end.
So I'll survive this as well.
For sure.
Yeah. Like, how do you fit travel? So I think a lot of, like you said before, a lot of lawyers don't take vacation. A lot of lawyers take vacation and work over vacation.
Yeah.
Or a lot of lawyers just take vacation and then stress the whole time about going back to a full inbox and fires.
Yeah.
And that you can be all of those things. But I know that you do prioritize travel and you prioritize, your health and running and hobbies. So what drives you to, I guess, do that, knowing that you could bill more hours if you stayed home?
Yeah.
But you're going to go to the Galapagos. You're going to go to Morocco. You're going to go to, Middle East. Like, what motivates you to do that?
Because, well, I think in part, I want to enjoy my life now. Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to just be like, okay, well, I'm just going to work steadily for the next 20 years and then hopefully I'll be in good health. Hopefully I'll be alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And able to do these things. Because a lot of my trips are very physical, it's important for me to do them while I'm in good health.
Yeah.
And I'm not arrogant enough to think that I'm always going to be in good health. I hope I am, but you just never know. So it's important for me to enjoy my now. And like, this is what I wanted I wanted to be traveling like this as an adult.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to not take 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever so that I can bill more hours so that I can where
am I going to use that money if I'm always working?
And that's where so that book of poems, there's a poem in there. It's called The Summer Day. Okay. Maybe it's just about a grasshopper. It is about a grasshopper, but it's also the line at the end.
Okay.
It's something that keeps coming back to me, and I may be flubbing it, but it's like, so tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
Oh, that just gave me goosebumps.
One wild and precious life.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
So you have to come back to that on a regular basis and make sure that the things that you want to do that are on your list, that you're doing them.
Yeah.
So for me, that is a priority. And I don't take a ton of vacation, but I'm not going to not go to Turkey because I can only go for 6 days.
Right.
I'm going to Turkey for 6 days.
Right.
And I'm going to be tired.
Right.
That's okay.
You went to Amsterdam for like a weekend, didn't you? Like, you were in Amsterdam. I was like, this is amazing. You're like, I'm here for 2 days or 3 days or whatever.
It's a red eye. You got to get the red eye on the Thursday.
Yeah.
And then you take the Monday off. And Amsterdam's like a kind of cool place to do that. You can fit a lot into those like few days.
It's a very walkable and bikeable city.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You've been there?
Yes. One of my favorites.
Yeah. No, it was great. I got to go with my sister. We hadn't traveled since before the pandemic. So
amazing.
That was lots of fun. But I do find those, like, I've heard this from people like, well, you're only going for a week. Like, don't, like, why, like, what's the point?
Why bother?
Like, you should be going there for 6 weeks. Well, like, I don't have 6 weeks.
No.
So
I can't take a sabbatical every time I want to go on a trip.
I want to see this place.
Yes.
I'm going to cram it in. And I have no regrets about like spending 5-6 days in Morocco or 5-6 days in Turkey. Mm-hmm. Fantastic trips. And it forces me to like cram lots in.
Yeah.
There's a lot you can see in 5 or 6 days.
Absolutely. Especially vacation time. Like I find when you're on travel time, Andrew and I have talked about this a lot, the days seem longer.
Much longer. Yes.
You can get so much more done in a day.
Yes.
When you're A, not working, but B, when you're like driven to just see stuff. And it doesn't feel like I'm pushing it.
Yeah.
It just feels like it almost kind of just happens.
Yes.
You know?
We were talking about that, my cousin and I, in the Galapagos, because I felt like we were away for a month.
Yeah.
So when I landed, like most of the places I go to are geo-blocked for email. So I can't even check my email most of the time.
That was going to be another question of mine, which was, do you take your phone and your laptop with you when you go away? And if so, like, do you have to, or is that just expected of you, but you can't?
It's funny because I do. And I've had this with a couple of trips where they'll give me an exception for like the security. I don't know like the tech terms. So they'll be like, okay, you can access, because I actually like the idea of cleaning out my inbox, or like so that I'm not landing to like 6,000
a million.
emails.
Yeah.
And just so I know nothing's on fire. But most of my trips, I guess because the Wi-Fi has not been terribly secure, I've had like actual trouble getting on. I usually do take my laptop anyway because it's like a security thing.
Right.
Like, well, maybe I'll want to use it. And as it turns out, like my flight for Quito was very early. So I got to the airport at like 3 a.m. and I'm waiting there. So I like, posted some dockets and did some work.
Nice.
But I do find when I'm in the trip, like I am really not compelled to, like, I don't want to look at work because then I get sucked right into work.
Yep.
Especially if something's on fire. It's gonna
so easy.
ruin my trip.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have to ask, are you cold or are you okay with temperature
I'm
right
good.
now? For it. I'm gonna twirl around. I love it. That's great. I want to pick up where we left off about working on vacation, or choosing to or not choosing to. So, because this is something that's new to me since I went in-house. When I was in a firm, I brought my laptop, and my work phone was my regular phone. So there was no turning off for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like you in that I like the comfort of checking my inbox in the morning and being like, is anything on fire? What are 20 junk emails that I can delete? And then I know I'm going back to only the important stuff, and I know what I'm walking into. But I also find that I so easily go down the rabbit hole. And so one December, Andrew and I are in Mexico, and I remember standing in Tulum in the hotel room on my phone, like stressing out about the delivery of an expert report. And I remember it just ruining my entire evening.
Yeah.
Because it was something that I tried to set up before I left, and things didn't work out the way they wanted to. And so I was stuck dealing with it on vacation. And I remember that truly taking away from my joy.
Yeah.
So is there a way that because there are people who are listening to this, and there are lawyers out there who will work on vacation. Like, no matter how much people say don't work on vacation, people are gonna.
Yep.
Do you have a strategy for how do you set a timer? Do you say to your cousin or your travel companion, like, come get me in 45 minutes and drag me away from this? How do you set boundaries?
I guess it depends on what's going on. I have a fair amount of flexibility in my personal life. Like, no one's telling me when to take vacation. So I look at the schedule, like the work schedule, and I try to pick times where it doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on. And I do a lot of prep leading up to a trip. So I will work a lot before a trip to make sure that everything is sort of lined up, that I can anticipate. Right. And I do work in a team. So it's not like things are completely on me.
That's nice.
So if I am online, no, I don't really set any firm boundaries, but like my last trip, I couldn't get online at all after I left the airport. And then I just stopped trying. But 2 days before I'm scheduled to fly back, I'm getting anxiety, like worsening anxiety. Oh my God, what am I gonna, it's fairly easy when you're in another place to kind of just completely disconnect.
Yeah.
But as you get closer to, I'm flying back, what am I flying into?
It's the Sunday Scaries vacation edition.
Exactly what it is. We'll have to come up with a word for that because
it's called being a lawyer.
It's called being a lawyer. And maybe I tell myself, maybe that's just the price you pay. Like,
right.
You don't have a job that you're just done at the end of the day. The work is never like, oh, did you finish everything you need to? No, I'll never finish everything.
You don't clock out.
Yeah.
You close down your laptop and there's 20,000 tasks that are waiting for you tomorrow, including whatever some lawyer decide to send you at midnight that you have to deal with in the morning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I haven't come up with really a strategy. It's just I've been lucky in that I've never gone away and come back to a dumpster fire.
That's helpful, especially being in litigation because things can pop up.
Could be, yeah.
And
some of our staff, they do follow me on Instagram. So if anything did come up, they could reach me that way.
Right.
If there was something. I think there was one.
Text the sea lion and he'll be like, Carolyn.
Exactly.
Hey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So it's, it's just, it's one of those things. I just sort of say, well, it's part of the job. And that's, is what it is. But so far I've been pretty lucky in that, the anxiety's there.
Luck because you do set yourself up for that.
Yes.
You know, or as much as you can.
Yeah.
But I love that you don't let it stop you because so many lawyers are really good at pushing off, delayed gratification.
Yeah.
We're very good at delayed gratification. I will take a trip when that trial's over. I will start traveling when I'm no longer a junior and you can I will when your whole life.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you get to 60, 65, 70, and you're not as mobile as you once were. Maybe, retirement's not guaranteed. And the way the world's going, maybe we're all going to die in 5 years. So,
maybe,
nothing's guaranteed. Yeah. So I love that you don't let that stop you. And I have tried to be more of that person. Because also there's no guarantee that the trip is going to be the reward you thought it was.
Right.
And then you spent 3 years building up this bucket list trip in your head, sacrificing happiness for 3 years. And then you break your leg before you take off and you can't go, right? And then you're like, it was all for nothing. Yeah. I was like, just do it.
Yeah. Or the pandemic. I couldn't travel. My sister and I were supposed to go to Egypt in April of 2020.
Oh my God.
And obviously that didn't happen.
No.
So luckily I had other things to sort of distract me during that time.
Yeah.
It was what it was and I couldn't really go anywhere. So as soon as I could, I did. But you don't know. If Ebola outbreak, we're all grounded. Who knows, right?
Who knows?
So, take the trip.
I don't know if it's our profession or our generation, but we were always just told to put your head down, work hard, and you'll be rewarded with a house, a stable career, a pension. Yeah. And I think now that that's not the case anymore, nothing is guaranteed. Yeah. We're just fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the trip. I'm going to be responsible. I save. Yeah. I put money into my pension. I invest. I do all those things. But once you do that, once you're taking care of your future self, I think we forget to take care of our now self.
Yes.
And I think doing what makes you happy is a huge part of that.
Yeah.
And for you, obviously travel makes you incredibly happy.
Yeah.
So much so that you're getting your pilot's license.
Maybe we'll see.
Are you learning to fly?
I'm learning to fly.
That is amazing.
Not with the goal of flying myself anywhere.
Okay.
It's
just in case of emergency landing. It's does anyone know how to land this plane? And you're like, I'm Liam Neeson.
Don't look at me.
No.
Not yet anyway. That was sort of I have a love-hate with flying. I actually...
Oh, okay.
I mean, we can, be in another place in 12 hours. It's amazing.
Yes, I agree.
I love planes. I listen to aviation podcasts. I love it. But also, if you've never seen me on a plane, and I didn't realize how actually bad it was until I flew with my sister to Hong Kong, and she was in a row, sort of she was ahead of me for some reason, and she kept looking back and she's like, what's wrong with you?
Really?
She's apparently I really presented as very anxious. I was grabbing my leg and like, so I'm like I don't love handing over control like that. Like,
right.
You're in a plane. There's nothing you can do to change any outcome.
Nope. Wear your seatbelt. That's about it.
Wear your seatbelt, kids.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought like, I'd love to go to like ground school. I just want to learn like,
So what is ground school? So that is exactly how it sounds. Like you learn flying from the ground.
It's basically like the textbook stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you do that and you can do it while you're actually taking flying lessons.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to ground school because it's school and I like school.
You love school.
Love school. So let's just see. And maybe I'll be comfortable in a plane. Maybe I won't be.
Right.
My sister and I actually got our dad like a small plane like introductory flight a few years ago.
So cute.
So they went up together and I was like, I kind of want to do that. So anyway, longish story short, the ground school's great. I'm like doing really well in ground school.
No surprise.
School
4 degrees.
I mean, to translate that into like the actual, it's
the
hard.
Practical side.
It is. I mean, it's simple and the messaging is so mixed in the plane, right? Because on the one hand they're like, that's safe, the plane wants to fly. These are trainer planes. They're very forgiving, but also here are 1,000 ways that you could die. So it's very, we'll come back to this like fear and bravery thing. There's nothing in my life really that I think requires a lot of courage. Like I don't have to like summon up courage,
right?
Except in the plane. Then I'm like, you're overcoming like, probably like reasonable primal instincts.
Yes.
Like maybe you shouldn't be.
You're
doing
telling your
this.
evolutionary brain to shut up.
Shut up.
Because science is better right now.
We are in a 40-year-old tin can full of gasoline. It's gonna be fine.
Maybe there might be snakes on it.
We don't know. We don't know. There was a wasp in our plane.
Wasps terrify me.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, all kinds of like. It's so interesting. Like, and it comes back to like I love it and I hate it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. I don't know if I will ever feel comfortable going up alone.
Fair.
I'm like very early on in this process. Last summer was terrible for going up too because there were a lot of thermals and convective. It just wasn't weather-wise. It wasn't a good summer.
Oh, okay.
So unless you are doing this like day after day or because it is like tactile, like muscle memory skills, you have to get a feel for the throttle and it's not just thinking. Like I'm just used to thinking.
We think for a living.
I don't need to translate.
We overthink for a living.
To other things.
Yeah.
So it's very challenging, especially if you're not doing it like every day. So we'll see. It's it's a process, but
that's fair.
It's just I always wanted to be in a position where I'm like, that looks cool. I want to try it. Like just try all the things. Maybe it won't work out.
You do that for a lot of things. I'm just gonna pause and just fix a flyaway. Okay, so you think about things and you try them.
Yeah.
Have you always been that person?
I've always wanted to be that person.
Yeah.
I think like you have to wait until you're like, I mean, now I'm at a point where I can kind of do that myself. I can see, okay, there's that thing. I have time to do that thing. Law school, I think undergrad, we didn't necessarily have that kind of freedom.
No.
To just sort of pick things that we wanted to try out.
Yeah.
These things also like they're expensive and it's but this is kind of how I envisioned my adult life. It's like
amazing.
Okay, that looks interesting. I'm gonna try it. Like pottery, you're like, I want to try it.
Yeah.
And you tried it.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever be a professional potter.
No.
But like I would do more courses.
Yeah.
Or I would like love to have like a pottery wheel in a shed one day. Like it's just really fun. It's tactile and you're thinking, but you're not. And you're letting like your body do the thinking and like why not?
Yeah.
And I struggle with the perfectionist aspect of trying new things.
Right.
I'm like I have to be good at it.
And I did. I guess I think I did that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to be good at this. Now I'm like, I may not be good at this, or I may not be good at this yet.
Right.
And I really struggle with in the plane confidence. And it's interesting to see like the split in my ground school class was teenagers and midlife crisis people.
Amazing. And you're like, I'm in the middle. Like, where do I sit?
It's like, am I like, so I'm that like midlife crisis professional person. But the 16-year-olds are like bored with the classwork, but they're like advanced in the plane. They're like, oh yeah, I'm doing steep turns. And I'm like, whoa.
Right.
So it's interesting because they have that, like, I don't know if it's a lack of fear or confidence, but you know, I've been told like you got to have confidence. You have to have confidence in your own ability.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, if the 16-year-old kid can figure it out, I can figure it out.
Yes.
You have to have confidence in the plane.
Yep.
You have to have confidence in your instructor. So that's a big thing for me.
Oh my
but with I've gotten better over the years at being patient with, you know, okay, I don't understand it yet.
Right.
I'm not there yet.
The yet is good.
Yet. You got to add the yet.
I love that.
It reminded me of, you said something on one of your episodes, not what if, but even if.
Yeah.
I loved that. It stuck in my head. Now I say that too.
I love that.
Yeah, even if.
I love that. That makes me so happy because it's like, yeah, because what if kind of gives you this thought of it. I don't know. It's like tied to this, like, what if this happens and there's never an answer for it?
No. So you envision catastrophe.
Exactly. But because it's a question that you don't necessarily have to form an answer to.
Yeah.
But even if is the start of a solution.
Yes.
Right? It's like, even if this happens, what's the end of that? What are you going to write into the end of that sentence?
Yeah.
And that's
Love
on
it.
you.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes things happen that you don't have control over.
Yeah.
But how we like react, I think, is part like out of our control. But then it's like, then how do you steer it? Like, you can have your initial reaction to anything.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I'm
Love
glad
it.
that you,
Yeah.
thank you.
No, take these little bits from.
Tell myself that all the time.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
Oh, thank you.
I find the same thing with the yet. Like, you got to add the yet. You're not going to be good at, you know, and I do go into the hobbies like sort of optimistically, like maybe this will be the thing that I'm amazing at. And I'm like a prodigy. And like, so far that has not happened.
But maybe.
But you never know, right? Like, there's a whole world of like cool things to try.
Yes.
I just haven't found the thing that I'm like, you know, an amazing, like, amazing virtuoso at. So
I think you found a few things you're amazing at already in your life.
I'm good at, I don't know, being bored on a run, I guess.
You're good at endurance, but running is as mental as it is physical, even if more so. So the mental strength that you get from that and that you have to be good at that is like amazing.
But that comes with running, right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't bring that into running. Running gave that to me.
Right.
And you're right. It's 100% mental and 100% physical.
Totally is.
But yeah, no, running, there's so many like life lessons in running, which you know.
I love it.
Love it.
It's
Absolutely.
so healing. But then you think about, like, whenever I tell myself like, oh, maybe I've maxed out finding things I'm good at.
Yeah.
I remember that like Samuel L. Jackson had his like breakout role in Jurassic Park in his like 40s.
Really?
He was like mid 40s and he was like the guy on the computer. And then came everything else, like Training Day, Snakes on a Plane, like all of his Snakes on a Plane. I keep bringing it up because it's one of my favorite Samuel L. Jackson. What's that? And I think I've only seen it once.
I've never seen it.
Didn't think it'd come up today, but it's come up.
There you go.
But that all came after.
Yeah.
Like well into his 40s, 50s.
Interesting.
So
didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, the next big thing could be just around the corner, and like even with school like keeps me young, right? Like I'm doing another just like remote kind of part-time master's.
Just a
just taking one course and like it's dabbling. I'm dabbling.
What is it in?
So it's public international law.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The international aspect.
So and it's strictly just an interest, right?
Amazing.
Like, because I was disappointed with that course in law school because it ended up being like, it's not really a thing, is it? It's just a mishmash of unenforceable treaties.
Right.
But I'm interested in it, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to learn about like, the laws of the sea and the laws of space and boundaries. And so
I
like,
love that. Learning keeps you young.
I think so.
Learning keeps you young in general. And I truly think that travel keeps you young.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Gotta keep doing the travel and all the it's novelty maybe that it's like just trying new things.
Yeah.
It's like gives you life and
seeing things with your eyes for the very first time, tasting something new, smelling something new. It might not be the most amazing thing you've ever had, but it's something new. Right? And it might be the most amazing thing you've ever had. You don't know until you go, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, now I want to go to the Galapagos. If you could give yourself some advice from when you were just starting out as a lawyer, what would that be?
I guess there's no end point, right? Like, so when I think even now, like I'm still evolving and developing, and I don't know what kind of lawyer I'm going to be in 5 years and 10 years.
Yeah.
So I think I would say to myself, like, there's no arrival point. There's no kind of like, here you are, you're a lawyer and this is your life. It's going to keep changing and evolving, and that's okay. You don't have to arrive at, the lawyer station or whatever it is.
So good.
And to not have, and I guess this goes back to what we started talking about with like the expectation of the career. Like, just rid yourself of that. Like, just don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I guess I mean, it's hard to tell your past self to chill.
Yeah. Or my current self to chill.
But it like that whole like, and I liked law school. Like I enjoyed it. It was fun, but it also like gave me this weird kind of
chill there. Thanks, Andrew. The chill pillow. This is one of the first things I bought for the podcast.
Give this to our like 1L selves, because that one cocktail reception isn't going to define your life.
Thank you.
It's not. It's fine. And I see it in the younger lawyers who are coming out and who start with us, and they're summaring and they're articling, and they're so like
wound.
Yeah. And that it's just been drilled into that this, really, really matters. And you have to, like they spend time picking their outfits and, so eager to please. And that's great. Like, I appreciate work ethic.
I love that they
effort.
care.
Love that you care.
Yeah.
Awesome. But also like the anxiety is just like throbbing off them. So yeah, I guess I would just say like, chill, it'll work out, be fine.
Amazing. I love that advice. Oh, I wish someone told me that. Bought so many horrible blazers as a result of just like stress purchases. Like,
what did you do with them?
Oh, I donated them.
Yeah, I donated a lot too.
I donated them.
Yeah.
Sold some of them on Poshmark, but honestly, they're just like out of style now. Like everything's more.
This week's sponsor,
Poshmark. Let's chat. It's true though, like the things I bought are no longer in style now, and so it's just like you donate them. You hope that someone gets
for sure
a job with them.
Absolutely.
Yep. But yeah, no, I don't have those anymore. I rarely wear a blazer.
Same.
Rarely.
Same.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot more casual. Like
we have, which is nice.
It is nice.
You know, and I honestly think too for like plaintiffs and defendants, when you're like in an examination and the person who's asking you the questions doesn't have like freaking like wrist cuffs. No offense to wrist cuffs, but like a 3-piece suit is unnecessary most of the time.
I
agree.
Those
like cuffs.
Yeah.
Cufflinks. The cufflinks.
It seems like a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And then you can't even wear a regular shirt with them. There's special shirts.
Yeah. And they're not comfortable.
No,
these clothes.
Nothing about this is comfortable.
Like, why do we have to be uncomfortable to do our job? Be clean, be tidy, look nice.
Look presentable.
But to be in this like itchy suit. Like,
I
I'm
know.
allergic to wool. Like,
I know. And you can never wash it.
No.
Your dry cleaning bill.
It. Yeah.
I wear plain black tops.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is what you get.
Yeah. This
robes
is me.
with some yoga pants.
Is that allowed?
Yes. I've spoken to many a judge wearing sweatpants now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Your Honors.
Meh.
You're all great. All right. 2 more questions. So the penultimate question is, again, very broad, but how do you personally define success for yourself?
For me, that's doing the things that I envision myself doing for the most part at this stage in my life. So the big thing for me was I want to have, independence and freedom and flexibility within the confines of my job.
Yes.
But being able to travel and knocking those things off my list, not like that I have a list and I'm like scratching things off, but
okay if you do.
to be doing those things, to be actually not just thinking about them, making them happen and trying out new hobbies. That's kind of where I wanted to be, as well as like physically fit and running.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a lot, like I'm aspiring to a lot here, but that is success for me. Of course, like I should throw in something about, being a good lawyer and doing a good job. I always want to do that.
Of course.
But
I think for you that goes without saying though. Like I feel like you are good at, you don't have to tell yourself I want to be a good lawyer. I feel like you are, because you care and you try.
I do care and try. And that's maybe the other piece of advice I would go back and give my past self.
Past Carolyn.
Vintage Carolyn. Is you will just keep screwing up. Even when you are an intermediate lawyer, you're like, we're 10 years out now.
Yeah.
Like there's still going to be stuff that you don't know.
Yep.
You're going to make mistakes.
Yep.
You're never going to arrive and be like, oh, I know the law now.
I love that. You're never going to arrive. Because even I still feel like I'm not a true real, like I've done a first year charity hearings. Like I've given my best at all the things, and I've not paid my dues, but I think I can successfully call myself a lawyer. Yeah. And I still feel like a child. Yeah. Like I still feel like a phony sometimes. Yeah. Like when I'm talking to like even a judge in motions court, I'm like, who let this kid in? Like, what am I doing? Why am I surrounded on the screen by all these faces that they know what they're doing?
Definitely.
Even if they were called after me. Yeah. Like I still deal with that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's, something that's always going to be the case.
The imposter syndrome is not going to go away.
No.
I don't have a cure for that.
No. Well, it's doing it anyways.
Just do it anyway. You're and keep in mind that probably everybody else is, well, maybe not everybody else, but a lot of other people are also feeling this. Yeah. And not feeling like, oh God, how did I get here? Right. Like, really? I have this title? Like, what?
Yeah. And that's another reason I want to start the podcast, is because lawyers aren't good at talking about what we're bad at.
I'm bad at lots of things.
We're so bad at lots of things. Mm-hmm. And like, I think if you just know that you're not alone and feeling like you might be bad at something, even if you're not, or not knowing how to do something, or like, so like, I don't have a ton of lawyer friends I hang out with outside of work. Yeah. So I don't really hear the like stuff that would make me maybe feel better about myself if I were to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Yeah. So maybe people who listen to this will be like, I'm not alone. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I have one last question for you.
Okay.
It's not law related.
Oh, no.
And it's not related to anything we've talked about.
Okay.
But I was drinking my coffee this morning and I was like, I want to ask Carolyn a random question at the end of the day.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm scared.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Do aliens exist?
I'm going to go with yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
Because it's just such a giant, like, the scope of the universe is like so massive.
Yes.
And I just think, if the perfect like combination of conditions resulted in us beings here, why couldn't it happen somewhere else?
Right.
And are we an experiment? So are the aliens like up there? They've sort of created us in a petri dish, and they're just like
the Simpsons episode with Lisa.
This has been done. Like, this is not a novel idea.
No, I love that.
So I'm gonna, if I was a betting person, which I'm not, you will not find me in the casino. No. Sure. Yeah. Sure, man. What's your take?
Yes. No, I agree with you. Yeah. I think A, I agree with everything you've said. And B, it's kind of like I fall that way on aliens and religion, where I'm not a hardcore believer in both, but I'm not so blind that I think I know enough to say they don't exist.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
got it.
there's, like you said, massive universe, and we could be aliens.
We could be.
Like, we could be aliens to someone else.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So, okay, cool.
Cool.
I love it.
Love that question.
Thank you. Okay. Where can people go to find out more about you? Do you have any social media you'd like to share? Do you have a traveling Instagram?
I do. So I started the traveling Instagram because my mom's not on social media.
Okay.
And she's always like, email me photos, and it was annoying.
You're like, here you go, Mom.
So I literally just set up this like Instagram account for her, and that's
sweet.
Wandering Carolyn.
Okay.
And that's all sort of travel photos. I may eventually like just get rid of my personal one, which is at Ms. Carolyn Mick. Because it's all just, I don't really post when I travel anymore, I think.
Right.
I may just eventually merge them on LinkedIn, but you won't find me posting too much.
I don't think I've ever done like an independent LinkedIn post. Maybe once.
I feel really weird doing it. Like,
really?
It's one of those things like maybe the online version of walking into a cocktail party and not really thinking that people want to hear from you.
Right.
Or where do I start? Like,
Right.
thrilled to announce that I'm on Odette's podcast.
That'll be both of our first LinkedIn posts.
Okay, there we go.
There's no pressure.
We can do that. So that's the only sort of thing I have now. I don't have like a blog or anything formal. I'm not a travel influencer, sadly.
You've influenced me over this conversation.
Okay, where's your next trip?
Oh my gosh. I really want to go on a trek. Like trek.
Yeah.
I want to trek somewhere so
Yeah.
badly, whether it be Nepal or
I
know. Yeah. Is that on your list too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm in that phase now where like I've just stopped a trip or I've just finished a trip.
Planning your next one.
What's the next one?
What's your next trip?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm in that like delicious phase where I just like throw a dart at the
Love
at the
it.
map, and I have a few things in mind. I do want to do the Great Wall Marathon. At some
I
point.
didn't know there was. I know there's Great Wall. I did not know there was Great Wall Marathon.
Yeah, there's actually two.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's a May one, and I think it's an October one.
Beautiful.
So maybe this year, maybe not.
Nice.
I'm looking at Pakistan, a trek in Pakistan right now. So.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, because I want to do something physical next.
Yeah.
Because Galapagos was, it was a lot, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like, there wasn't like a run or a
Right. Physical challenge.
Physical challenge.
Rather than hopping over sea lions.
That, they're everywhere.
And they're big. They're not little.
They're very big.
Yeah.
No, it was, yeah. So anyway, I'll like figure something out. It'll be probably a shorter trip next time, but
Nice.
yeah.
I can't wait to see where you go next.
Yeah, same. Likewise.
Thank you.
Last year we ended up in the same location. So.
I know. We missed each other in Paris by like less than a month.
Weird.
And
Really
we
weird.
both went to chateaus in
We
France.
did, yeah.
Which,
So it's
like,
like it sounds really
Talking about we love rough travel, and we're just
where
like,
the chateau.
oh yeah, we're just going to a chateau. No big deal.
Yeah, I was near Dijon, like an hour
Yum.
outside. So yeah, it was cool. Very
Nice.
cool. Yeah.
I know, right? Dijon.
Maybe we'll run into one another at
I would
one of
love
these
that.
times. That would be
I would
fun.
love that. Or anytime you're in Toronto, please reach out.
I will.
Because we're here. You know where to find us now.
I do, and I'm definitely gonna keep listening and following your podcast journey. Congratulations on this.
Thank
I'm
you.
So happy that you're doing this. I think it's a wonderful fit and a wonderful idea.
Thank you. Thank you so much for making the drive in. I love your life. Thank you for the gifts. This has been, I know we've been talking for a couple of hours now, and it feels like it's been 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your time so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All right. So that was our first ever video podcast guest, my friend Carolyn McKeen. I'm sure you fell in love with her as much as I love her so much. She's blushing now. So I will be bringing more video podcasts to this YouTube channel. I've got some other amazing guests in the works. And in the meantime, we have a bunch of episodes already up, audio only, on Apple and Spotify. So check those out. If you want to leave us a review, that really helps me, and it also helps this channel and this podcast find more people. There's also a comment section below on YouTube, and I'm waiting for my first stranger review. Everyone who comments on these, I know, and I love it. I love you all. If I don't know you and you want to leave a review, that would be amazing. Even if it's a negative one. Engagement is engagement. I don't know if I'm going to leave that in there, but I'm waiting for my first negative review. I want a negative review because it means someone I don't know has found
you. Yeah.
I'm waiting for it.
Makes you legit.
Right? Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye. Yay!